What a wonderful piece of music, if I do say so myself. So this is Let's Talk Call-In Radio, and we have something to say about that. Who wants to say something about Let's Talk Call-In Radio? Oh, excuse me.
All right, I'm going to jump in here.
Go for it.
This is Let's Talk Radio, radical radio. We're going to be really radical today with Puppies and Kittens, getting to the root causes of the important issues of the day. This on-the-air community forum believes your voice matters and welcomes all thoughts and views without judgment as best we can handle it. Please join today's conversation by calling 415-663-8492 or tweet us at Let's Talk on KWMR.
Yes.
And your hosts today are Stephen Hurwitz leading our conversation.
Stephen.
Paul Raffel answering the phones, and I'm Robin Carpenter. And something is away today. Oh, that's a blank thing on my form.
Oh, really? Anyway, yes.
Yeah.
So today we are talking about. I wanted to do puppies, but of course that's kind of too restrictive, I guess.
Then I asked for kittens.
And then kittens, which are more popular on the web than puppies, and then goats after that.
I find goats to be sort of like little hooved cats.
Oh.
What about seals?
You know, they are cute, but I kind of am more of an otter girl.
Yeah.
I stumbled upon a seal on a lounge chair.
You're kidding.
No.
In Marshall?
No, on the web.
Yeah, so this has sort of morphed into something else. It's about distracting. How do you distract yourself or divert your attention from,
45.
troubling news in the world, where I'm going to try not to mention the president's name for once on this show. In the past 2 years, we've been talking about every show his name comes up, no matter what. And while we respect the office, let's just not say his name if we can possibly handle that. But anyway, yeah, so what do you do, our listeners, to distract yourself from bad news or, the overwhelming information input that's with us all the time now?
I think it's, for someone like myself who I always have been a big news nut and watch a lot of news, it's been very difficult because the diversity of news, as has really become focused on sort of one area, and it's not an area that's very reassuring. So news has always been sort of a diversion for me. So it's been a challenge. Oh, I think we have...
And we have a call. Hi. Caller, you are on the air. What's your name, please? And please, what's your language?
Good morning. This is MK in Seattle.
MK, how are you? How is it up there in Seattle?
It's horrible.
Oh.
There's one daffodil blooming that had a pile of snow on it earlier in the week, but it's all gone away now, and now it's just gray and ugly.
Come down here. We're having glorious weather.
This is an interesting topic for me because I have a number of relatives that live on the East Coast, and one of whom was so rampantly left-wing, political, humorless, imaginationless, blah, 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 that I started hitching up with as many museums and art sources and people around the world, everything from Peggy Guggenheim to the Met to MoMA to everybody, and posted art pictures for every one of her political posts. And this has been going on for a couple of years now, and I'm kind of hooked now, and I've since unfriended that person. So, I'm an artist, so I love visual imagery, and
I second that, by the way.
And I think that there's so much available that softens the blow, or intrigues the spirit.
Yeah, what would be your suggestions for where to go to achieve that kind of diversion?
Where do you find the sites?
Yeah, give us a couple of sites that you have.
Google and or even just to Facebook and type in Metropolitan Museum of Art, New York, or MoMA, San Francisco, or whatever else.
Excellent.
And they like them, and they send you the images.
Nice.
And then you share them.
See, we're finding the anti-puppy here.
No, I'm not an anti-puppy at all. I love puppies, and I love kittens. And the other day, my 10-year-old granddaughter and I sat for 3 hours, I think, and watched the screaming goat and all the rest of
Oh, my God, I love the screaming goats.
On YouTube, the screaming... We used to have goats, Robin, and I'm not sure that you would compare them to kittens. They're really quite... they have distinct personalities, let's say.
Yeah.
They're so
not exactly
smart.
cuddly.
They're so
They
smart.
eat everything you don't want them to eat.
I went through a phase where I was sort of a minor goat herd for about 4 goats, and yeah, it was challenging milking those goats. And
Well, I had them when my kids were little. Amanda had a goat named Daisy Buchanan. We had another one named Pearl Bailey, obvious reasons, and they destroyed stuff. So we finally sold them to a dairy so they could get bread and eat blackberries and go do goaty things. But they were a pain in the neck. They were cute when they were little.
They're so beautiful.
Oh, they are beautiful. Their eyes are fascinating. They really do have that devil thing going on.
And the
anyway,
screaming goats are entertaining. Yes, the screaming goats are entertaining, I have to say.
Well, after the 37th time, it gets a little...
I like the ones that sound like they're talking like humans. Like there's one goat, he's one of my favorites, and he says, "What? What?" And whatever he said, he goes, "What?"
I know nothing about the screaming goats.
See.
Steve, you've got a whole afternoon.
YouTube and just type in screaming goat, and you'll find more than you wanted to know.
But MK, I really love your idea. I've had a couple of artist friends who I'm on social media, and so they've been doing Facebook posts, and then I tried to do it for what we call like transcendent moment of the day or art moment of the day, because you would go to your Facebook page to check in with your friends. It would just be, diatribe after diatribe, rant after rant.
Oh, my God, I know.
And since I have relatives from the Southeast that are very, very conservative, I got it from both sides. And I really appreciate it. There's actually a guy on Facebook called Stephen Elcock. It's ELLCOCK. He is like this amazing, he's sort of this mysterious figure that another artist friend of mine turned me on to. And he'll post like a theme of like, the theme will be under the sea. And he'll have art from, thousands of years of art that he's selected, whether it's sculptures or paintings.
I don't do so well with the specific topics because my selections are pretty random.
But kind of knowing people that are publishing art, that's what a nice distraction for me. I'll go over to his page. Source. Yeah.
Nice, yeah.
I tend to go a bit heavily on Lucian Freud and Francis Bacon and people like that I like. But I don't know. There's a world full of imagery that can help in these trying times.
Well, thank you, MK. That's wonderful. We started off with art, which is far more uplifting.
Yes,
than
have a happy day down there.
Thank you,
stop raining.
Same to you. Stay warm.
Okay, bye.
Thanks, bye.
I would add creativity as a way of
distracting.
And if you know what distracts you, give us a call and let us know. 415-663-8492 or 8317.
What do you think? Is there what part does intention play versus just something that happens? You just stumble upon
A distraction.
Yeah.
I think that stumbling upon is such a gift. I'm pretty intentional about, because as you guys know, I like to play games. So I'm a game player, whether it's I can, get somebody to play cards or dominoes with me, or I have little games on my iPhone. So if I start to feel really like anxious or panicky, or I accidentally hear news I just don't want to hear, I'll do that. I will, just put on music and just do, because it kind of goes to my reptilian brain function. I get out of thinking so much. I think art and creativity does the same thing. It takes you out of sort of your worry mind up there and lets you go somewhere else. What do you do, Paul?
Oh, what do I do?
He's not saying.
Well, I was just thinking about that, and one of my go-to diversions these days, or for a couple of months, I guess, is to go to YouTube and look up Quite Interesting, QI, which is one of those British quiz shows that Brits are so good at. We all love our little quiz shows. There's something in the genes. And it was Stephen Fry until this year. Stephen Fry hosting it, and an assortment of people, mostly comedians or commentators of some kind, changes every week. And it's just a fun quiz show just about interesting facts about, like...
Share us the link, please. Share us the link.
I could actually play something, but it's 3 minutes long. Maybe we shouldn't do that. But one of the questions is, where are 1% of Americans? This is not really a diversionary question, actually, because you know what the answer is. They're in jail. And so they were all kind of astounded.
I thought it was higher than that.
Well, this was...
wow.
Yeah, G. That was probably... I think they're on N now. They're going through the alphabet, so that was a while back. That was,
wow.
Yeah. And they were all astounded by that. Another one was what happened, or who was in the Bastille on the day it was stormed, something like that. And there were only 7 prisoners in the Bastille on July 14th when it was stormed by the revolution. And the one interesting fact that comes up is the Marquis de Sade left 10 days before. He was transferred out because he kept screaming obscenities and anti-monarchist slogans through the bars. So they transferred him to another prison 10 days before it was stormed, when he would have been released. And he asked his wife, would you please go by the Bastille and pick up my writings, all the writings I've been doing while I'm in there? And she said, oh, well, there's no hurry, is there really? Where could be safer than the Bastille? And 10 days later, it was all gone. So anyway, so that's kind of what I look at. And then lovely pictures. Like I actually started writing this down yesterday, things that came through that I actually dwelled on as I was trying to not go to a news site. Bunnies in bobble hats.
Bubble hats?
Bobble hats, little bobble hat, little balls on their head.
Oh, yeah.
Eating greens. 2 little tiny bunnies. There's a animation of a wind turbine that's set up in the middle of a freeway on the central median, and the traffic keeps getting knocked off the... That was endlessly fascinating. There was somebody posted things about nudibranchs with, like sea slugs, all those beautiful...
Oh, I saw that Lorien Tor did one.
Dog and a horse taking each other for a walk, all this sort of stuff. And my go-to sites are things like Big Think and YouTube, of course. Everything from road rage to stupid things.
I think the ultimate image of distraction is the person who has 2 pages, he's working or she's working, and she's got the business page. As soon as somebody's not watching, they switch over.
Switch to the comics.
Exactly.
Well, one of my other distractions, which, I've always bared all on the show, but I love to go to Hollywood gossip sites like Radar Online, TMZ, just the worst. The National Enquirer, Star Magazine. Wow. And that used to always be a big distraction for me, but unfortunately, they have now found that what's going on in Washington, D.C. to be more scandalous and nasty than Kim Kardashian's new booty. So, that used to be something that would be an uber distraction, because I'd go into this world that seemed so alien, and the stories are so hyperbolic and
that's like
dramatic.
A national distraction, isn't it?
Yeah.
The same for the year of election that we had. Yeah, so 2 years of election.
I never imagined that people would turn to politics as a distraction.
I know.
Well, it's interesting because Let's
go to a rally.
Because we won't mention 45's name, which is he who will not be named.
That guy,
but
Sessions, is up to.
Well, I wanted to say a little something about Jeff Sessions being an Alabama girl. So this morning there was a post. I'm in a closed political group of blue dots and red states. So a lot of my friends and some of us are expats. And one of them, the headline of the day for the group was, now America is experiencing the Alabamification of its country. Because in Alabama, it is, from the moment I can remember, we make the TV show Scandal look like nothing. I mean, we've had the governor who he was kicked out because he was doing this, and then we had the person who's taking Jeff Sessions' place was, everybody's fooling around with everybody, giving each other money, and it's so corrupt there. It says, I remember when I was a child, the federal government had to come in and run Mobile, Alabama for a few weeks because the entire city council was arrested, including the mayor. So it's just,
Now it's hit the main stage, and it's wonderful.
Yeah.
But so there are other distractions, of course, not as MK said, art and all that, but definitely not online is not the only place we go for distractions, I'm guessing. Do you read books?
It occurs to me that we created a whole generation of distracted people. The kids are permanently distracted, and video games are a big one. Really hard to compete with $1 billion worth of anime. Oversexed anime ninja girls.
Wow. And we have a caller.
We're really
Hi,
talking about distractions.
Hello there. Yes, we are talking about distractions.
I thought you were going to talk about dogs.
Puppies, kittens, goats.
My dog distracts me greatly.
There you go. This is... I know.
Vikisa.
Hi.
I'm distracted by you guys. I'm at Gallery Route 1. I'm distracted by Trump, and I hate to say his name, but all of the stuff that's going on. And it was like in my brain so hard that after I went to the Women's March, it was better. And after I did the poster about Trump and waiting for him to be impeached, I felt really better. I mean, it's not in there. Every time I would say happy birthday, I'd say, oh, but because of Trump, it's not going to be... You know what I mean? It was like there was always this thing because of what's happening in the world and in our world.
Yeah.
But I wanted to talk about dogs. And my dog, I love to talk about my dog, although she has tripped me and I have been distracted and I never look down. Distracted by everything.
Always look down when you have a dog or a cat.
Or, when you're walking, normal people look down, and I'm always just distracted by the birds and everything that's going on around me because I'm so visual that and the ground is the least interesting.
Well, and it helps that you're an artist. I mean, that's a wonderful escape.
Lying in bed with my broken head, I can draw.
Oh.
I know it's been like the week from hell, though. I mean, I have.
So your dog's trying to kill you.
My dog's trying to kill me. My Apple computer died because of, I guess, all this. No, it's just the back. They just replaced the screen and then they wiped it clean because it wasn't properly their way. You know how it's all... I mean, I'm getting into conspiracies now.
Uh-oh. They're after you.
Then my phone died. I mean, it's been a very distracting week.
But an exorcism.
And then Trump had to do his speech, and it was all over the place, and you couldn't help. I mean, there was hardly any way to avoid him. Mostly I've been getting the news from Trevor Noah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Trevor Noah, The View, and Stephen Colbert are kind of my new... I used to laugh at the millennials because that's where they got their news, but now I get it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's sort of a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down.
Well, and also they hit the high points, which are what stupid thing he did. I am really waiting for him to be impeached. I made my poster. I'm getting it out there. I think it's going to happen. I really believe it. So we have to have a plan for Pence. I guess we're not supposed to talk about political stuff, right?
You brought up a very good point, though. And that is we have a president who is permanently distracted.
But if you think about the person that is holding that office right now, and somebody that was a producer with him on several reality shows talked about, he is a master of reality TV and entertainment. And entertainment is like you don't let anybody sit for a second before you throw out something else to keep them like, I mean,
exactly.
And a competition. He runs competitions.
Robin, you really hit it. But that's what he's doing. He's confusing and obfuscating, and then we are off on this, like, what are we off on? And we're so busy that he's getting away with, I mean, literally, he's getting away with practically murder. Honestly, I don't know how he got the golden handshake. I just want to know that.
Kisa, we're trying to get distracted from talking about...
Yeah, I'm going to let you go.
Kisa, be careful. Take a look at the ground now and then.
Watch out for your murderous dog.
No, and you watch out for her, too.
Everyone, watch out.
Thanks, Vikisa.
Hey, bye. Carry on.
Thanks, Vikisa.
There you go. Trump's name was mentioned how many times now?
But not by us. Not by
Until
us.
me, just then. There you go.
Oh, you said it. Oh, my God, Paul. Okay, you have to have a shot. Get the bottle.
Oh, this is how it works. So, yeah.
It's a drinking game.
Call in with your what diverts your attention away from some of the worst news that's coming in every day that we're bombarded with. 415-663-8492 or 8317. We're just a discussion about what we do to clear the mind, perhaps, or send it off in a different direction for a while. Books. I'll say books again. Are anyone reading books now?
Mysteries. Talk about diversions.
And, it's funny because always my distraction reading, ever since I was a child and first started reading, I love science fiction. But what I'm finding is that's reassuring, oddly enough, is I've been reading a lot about the Third Reich and about World War II. Because I know it sounds strange.
Here we go again.
But no, I'm just saying, like,
comics.
Reading about, for me, it's reassuring reading about other times in history where things seemed very disastrous or whatever, even if it's reading about, Pompeii, that
right.
We are just remembering that we are just, look at the sky and the stars. We're just a teeny particle of all.
It could be worse. And to that point, sorry, I'm sort of interrupting you, but you brought that up. It's fabulous because Murray Seward, the wonderful Murray Seward, sent us an email. Perhaps people are mistaking 2017 for the worst of times. 1914-18, horrific war, millions killed, terrible impact on the environment. 1915 to 1920s, KKK second generation and lynchings. 1918, flu epidemic.
Spanish flu. That's a favorite of mine.
1938 to 1945, a war. Japanese internment, death camps for everybody, and the invention of the atomic bomb. 1950s, Red Scare. Blacklists, 1960s, Vietnam, Pol Pot, Mao's Great Leap, 1970s, Pol Pot again, still, 25% of the Cambodian population. Wow. And in the 80s, AIDS. And then he says, Indian wars, Stalin's crimes, war on drugs, etc. We need to be careful about believing we've got it so bad. After we realize that times are almost always tough, we can turn to proven remedies such as doing work that helps people, not just doctors, but also waitresses and plumbers, and etc. Being creative, as you said, Stephen. You don't have to be Ella Fitzgerald to sing in the shower. And paying attention to friends, neighbors, relatives, and lovers, and for those who have a strong altruistic gene, working to help people who need some help. But the first step is realizing we don't need distractions. We've got life to focus on, and that is more than enough. Yeah.
How well said.
Lovely.
That's
Thank you, Murray.
After the apocalyptic...
Exactly.
Well,
we're all doomed.
I'm not one that is much of a history reader. I just never have been. And to me, I find that during certain periods of time, reading history, like I have picked up this great Studs Terkel book, which is he interviewed, 60 different people who were involved in World War II, and just these short vignettes of people talking about their lives then. And so it helps put things sort of in a context. And it's really interesting because, as you guys know, I'm with the Marin Literacy Program, and we do work at the Marin County Jail. And so part of the work we do beyond teaching classes is we do a literacy book cart there and take it into the different pods. So we've been getting more requests for history books, World War II, because a lot of these people there, I would say most of them are under 40, they don't really have a context for when they hear about fascism or they hear about, like, what do you mean by that? And who is Mussolini? And they don't know that. So we've been, and it was really hard. I was trying to get about 50 copies of 1984 and Brave New World. And because I go on all these used book things online to order them, and you couldn't even get them. Just the sales have been so high on that. But that's been really interesting to see these men and women wanting to have it put in context for them as well, or learn all the things that are coming up are making them go, what is a fascist and what is the Third Reich? And, what does being a Leninist mean?
Right.
So actually, this is really making us all learn a little more about history. Steve Bannon is helping.
To Trotskyist, socialist compared to communist.
Well, you bring up a really good point, which is that we have a whole generation, even people who are not in prison, who have no relationship, have no context as to things that we take for granted that we know. Stalin, I mean, how many people knew that he killed 200 million people? Excuse me, 20 million people.
I was going 200.
Yeah, that's
what was it?
Maybe
Stalin
he wanted
said
to kill that.
One death is a tragedy. Millions is a statistic. But it's interesting because when you think about when the Berlin Wall came down, that was the year my son was born. This whole thing, like for our generation, the whole thing about Russia's our enemy. That's not. That's not necessarily present in the current generation. This thing of, I personally never imagined that Republicans and conservatives would be the ones going like, we love Russia, we like Putin. That seems so antithetical to our context that we grew up in.
Well, just last year that would have been antithetical to everything. And speaking of music, Pink Floyd, or Roger Waters anyway, is planning to do a performance of The Wall on the Mexican border. Yeah, that's excellent. So how about music? How about that as a distraction?
Yeah,
I mean, I play music all the time.
I was going to say, what's the difference between recreation and distraction? You can't put them in the same. You can't put them in the same category.
Okay, all right. So
although now I've started doing something that I don't normally do, because I'm finding that right before I fall asleep, that all these thoughts start to kick in that I've tried to just like, don't go there. Things are going to have their way. Do your part, do what you can do. And so I have been finding putting in earbuds, falling asleep to music, which I never do that. I usually like to just get quiet and have it be quiet. But that's been helpful to me to play. And I like, there's something about Bach's solo cello suites that sort of reprograms my brain if I get so panicky, anxious. That sort of, so I have certain things that I like to hear that I find will really settle my mood, or, I've gotten off of a phone call with my father who somehow his brain checked out back in November. I don't know what happened. Uh-oh. But, no, I just mean about politics. Suddenly I can't talk to him anymore. But, yeah, so I do find music to be almost medicinal.
Yeah, and then there's meditation and all these other things. So shouldn't use the word distraction. It's
well, I have an idea that sports is a distraction. This cycle of football leading into baseball, which leads into basketball and football, and then now soccer. You go to some places, not here, but other countries, and there's a permanent soccer game up on the screen. See, I think that just one big soccer event, baseball event, would keep us from thinking about the government, thinking about what's going on in the world.
So bread and circuses, basically.
Bread and circuses. Speaking of which, this is KWMR, Point Reyes Station, or 90.5 Point Reyes Station, 89.9 Bolinas, and 92.3 in San Geronimo Valley. And KWMR's Spring Pledge Drive is coming up at the end of the month. Are you ready? We're looking to raise $30,000 in 8 days from Friday, March 17th through Friday, March 24th. And if you want to get an early start, you can donate now by visiting our website, kwmr.org, and clicking on the donate button, or by calling us at 415-663-8068, extension 106. Stay tuned for all the action, yes. Programming on KWMR is brought to you by the Maritime Radio Historical Society, working to preserve West Marin's rich radio heritage. The nation's last working Morse code coast station is in action every Saturday from 12 to 4 p.m. at the RCA receiver site, 17400 Sir Francis Drake Boulevard, just past G Ranch on the Point Reyes Peninsula. Information at 415-663-8982 or online at radiomarine.org. That's radio, marine.org. And we would also like to thank the 10th Annual Sebastopol Documentary Film Festival, held March 23rd through 26th at the Sebastopol Center for the Arts, bringing independent documentaries and their creators from around the world to the North Bay. Ticket information at 707-829-4797 or online at sebdocs.org. That's sebdocs.org. Thank you to all the underwriters. Give us a call, 415-663-8492 or 8317 if you feel so inclined. Or you could even tweet us at Let's Talk on KWMR.
So I think one of the reasons that we thought of this topic today of distractions was we kind of meant specifically in terms of because 45, who's occupying the White House, is so amazingly, I mean, talk about bread and circuses. I mean, he's really knows how to do that. He's brilliant at that.
He is brilliant.
And so it is almost like an invasion. It's like having an earworm, but worse. Videos. And so we're trying to like push it out somewhat. And there's also the feeling of I need to know what's happening because I need to stay in touch. Mm-hmm. But then I think, okay, Bing will email me if I need to do something. But being part. So one thing is being parts of different groups that are taking actions if there's not specific action you're particularly working on. So I think, okay, if there's an action, if I take a day or two off, I know I belong to several different action groups, so I'll be getting an email about that. But I think it's making us very anxious. A friend of mine posted this morning, and she said, she calls it T-jaw, that she never had where she clenched her jaw at night or around her teeth at night, and that she is waking, she thinks she's okay, she meditates before she goes to bed, she thinks she's fine, and she wakes up in the morning with this horrible jaw ache. So she's having, a lot of tension expressing, and she was asking, are other people who've never had that? And I said, I'm having a lot. I usually have pretty sort of vivid, kind of crazy acid nightmares. I don't usually have like really specific nightmares. So I'm having a lot of, for me, because of the program I work with and because 90% of our students are immigrants and many of them are undocumented, I've been having a lot of dreams of them being hurt, me trying to help them get out. So for me, like the image of the Royal Canadian Police grabbing these people fleeing America across the border.
Oh, there's another border.
Yes. And people are fleeing America to get over there, and there they are grabbing them, asking them, do they need medical care, and we're chasing them, And so for me, like that's how the personal stuff.
That's how it's going through. Hence the earbuds.
Yeah, and just to try to like calm those anxieties down and just remember, like have a little talk with yourself. You're doing your piece, other people are doing their piece. But and like I said, it's a surprise to me. My husband, who loves to read history, is like shocked that I'm reading history. And I said, it just helps to remember the context that we are in as human beings. Yeah, and as Murray so brilliantly stated, there's
always been bad
although the bird flu
on.
did make me, the resurgence of bird flu in China, and now I am worried about flu. But that helped distract me from
others.
The classic American distraction is shopping.
I hate to shop.
Excellent. But many of them are shopping online now. You mean actually going to stores, window shopping even? I remember in London, we used to go into London, we'd just go to Oxford Street and Regent Street and just go window shopping. Oh, look at that lovely dress, isn't it nice? Not me.
Now, I will confess that the day that I won't say her name either, but it starts with a K, and she sits on Trump's couch. I said his name. With her feet on the sofa.
You're the only one now that hasn't said his name.
So that day,
a
bunch of my girlfriends and I all decided we'd go online and buy something from Nordstrom. So after there had been the big thing about Ivanka's line.
And I wonder how that was introduced into your brains. Why Nordstrom? Because
Nordstrom had stopped carrying Ivanka's line, and then Trump's one of Trump's
twice
folks,
now, three times now. Oh my goodness.
Went on national TV and said, "Everybody go out and buy Ivanka's stuff," and we should all boycott Nordstrom. So we all decided we had to buy one thing.
So how about you? Do you shop?
Yes, I do. I like to shop, actually.
Yeah?
Seriously?
Yeah, I love to shop.
What do you do?
I like clothing, for example.
So you're going...
Oh, you were in the clothing business. That's right.
I am, but I shop for my wife.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, I buy her clothes.
Can you take Andy and...
I know her well enough. I don't think I could shop for you.
Yeah.
But you could train him how to shop.
Anybody that uses Costco is a shopper. Mm-hmm. We're overwhelmed by stuff, but food, of course, but that doesn't count.
Now, food is my thing
that doesn't count.
Like when I first went to London, I spent a day and a half at Harrods Food Hall just looking at all the different foods. So I love to shop for food or books, a bookstore. I'm a bookstore.
Yeah. Bookstore junkies.
Well, you're right, though. Online now, as people can shop from home, it's very easy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Much easier than the old days.
Than going out, yeah.
Yeah. Well, online is certainly, online, the web in general is distracting from many other things. It's where we get most of our information now. I do, anyway. Do you still get a newspaper at home?
No, but I do get online. I have the New York Times, of course.
Right. See, that used to be you could just turn everything off and just open the paper and just read page by page. Well, we have the Point Raised
now
Light.
The New Yorker is a wonderful source of news.
I love the New Yorker online, and they're really doing great coverage.
And we have a call. Hi, caller. You're on the air. What's your name, please?
Hi, it's Lyons.
Hi, Lyons.
Hi, Lyons.
I got distracted talking about those night guards. That's the thing you wear at night. Your teeth. I've had one for years because I've been a night tooth grinder for a very long time. Not just recently. I love my night guard.
Maybe. Do you think we should invest in night guard stock?
Yes, I think so. But I'm curious about using the word distraction.
Yeah.
It has an implication that you're doing something because you're avoiding doing something else. And
True.
I can't take in a lot of news every day. I get overwhelmed and freaked out at a certain point.
I'm a junkie, though.
So are you, are we talking a value judgment here that if I listen to less news than you do, then I'm distracting myself?
No, it's not a...
What's here?
No.
I had some other thought, but it slipped out of my mind.
I originally it was going to be diversions, but that didn't have the same sort of thing. But distraction, no, I don't think distracting or diverting our attention from bad news is necessarily a terrible thing. You have to do many things during the day. Part of which is to shut your brain down for a little while, go for a walk, get some air, do whatever needs to be done to keep your body and mind going.
Mental and emotional rest.
Yeah, and I think I was thinking about the same thing too, Lyons, is what we mean too is sort of a redirection of our mind. Because there is this feeling of, especially both Steve and I are real news junkies, so it's like, oh no, our brains are being taken over because the control of news is being fought for. So it's sort of... It's an unhealthy place to spend as much time as I used to spend, I feel like, for myself.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that occurs to me is that in the addiction world, they talk about, or they pose the question, is your use of X interfering with your normal functioning? Can you lead your life properly or functionally while using or doing whatever X is? And,
the answer is no.
In terms of distractions, we could be thinking, am I spending too much time?
Well,
screens?
Yes, our screens are a distraction themselves, yes, of course, yeah.
And there's a documentary film, I think it's a Marin resident who's made it, that's showing at the church space at the Dance Palace this Friday evening.
I was going to mention that.
Screenagers.
Screenagers.
Event.
Great
families, kids, everyone, even those of us without kids, are welcome. And it's looking at the question of how much screen time are our kids spending, and us as so-called adults and grown-ups. So how are screens? impacting our lives.
Well, there you are. And what are they? And what, for example, what are teenagers doing on screens? Are they all they're all texting each other? Is that basically what we're thinking?
Yeah, you'll have to see the film
I'll have to
find that out, because I don't know the answer. But I think Stephen brought the flyer in there.
I have it.
I did.
Yeah.
So
anyway,
that's
thank you.
Thank you, Lions.
Thank you, Lions.
Great conversation.
Bye.
Bye.
Yes. Screenagers. This is a great name. Growing Up in the Digital Age. March 3rd, Friday, March 3rd, 5:30 to 8:30 at the Dance Palace in the church space. Oh, there's a dinner, free dinner at 5:30. Oh. Hey. Setting boundaries for internet use, and then the documentary. That's wonderful.
You know, it occurred to me that do distracted parents, does that keep them from parenting?
There was a study that was recently done, and it showed they were filming like mothers with babies and toddlers, and it showed how many, just at play for a couple of hours or, at doing whatever in their home. And it showed like how many times a child was trying to get your attention, or they did something cute and you would smile at them, and how much the mother was either looking at a cell phone or doing something else. And that the mothers who were much more interactive, like you could see like over the period of time, the children that weren't getting that much attention sort of slowed down. They became crankier. They cried more. The ones where when they did something cute or mom just gave them a second, just a glance or smiled, the difference in the children and what that was doing, having a parent that actually looked at them or paid attention, that wasn't like on the phone or doing other things.
Eye contact.
And that they're going to be doing longer term studies on that, but that they think it has a real impact on children.
Kid, have a puppy.
Yeah, here, have a puppy. Here's a goat. Here's a goat.
Here's a puppy and an iPhone. Human interaction of all kinds, right, is a wonderful, wonderful way to avoid these terrible things. Even if you're going to a meeting about the revolution or whatever we're calling it. What are we calling it? The resistance. Even if you're going to one of those meetings, a sort of a town hall meeting of what are we going to do about this situation, that's you're interacting personally with someone. You're in the same room as a bunch of people. It's a wonderful thing, right?
Well, that brings up my thought that we do what makes us feel good. So if it makes you feel good to fight the system, that's what you do. If it makes you feel good to not to pretend it's not going on, that's
fair enough.
As long as you feel good, whatever it is, that's okay.
If it feels good, do it. I remember that song. Should have got that song today. Give us a call, 415-663-8492, and let us know what you do to relax your mind, take your attention away from troubling outside news and things that might make you nervous. What do? Do you go hiking, biking? Do you just play with your doggies and kitties? Do you watch doggies and kitties and goats online?
But you're saying that's intentional. You're saying, I've got to do this because I can't stand that, or that's too overwhelming.
Yeah, I think there's an element of intention in that, right? If you turning off your screen and picking up a book, for example, or turning on music and just having that going. And I never sit down and listen to music anymore like I used to. It's just sort of background now while I do other things, working on cars or whatever. We have a caller. Hi, caller. You're on the air. What's your name, please?
This is Corrine calling.
Hello, Corrine.
Hi, Corrine.
Hello. So what I do, I go and work in the garden. I think the garden is my meditation.
Yeah.
I love to just get my hands dirty and just kind of dig into the soil, and it's very grounding.
Yeah.
And I've kind of found that I really, really like it, and that's what I do. And I was thinking I might go swimming in the bay today. We'll see.
You are so brave.
Ooh.
Yeah. I'm thinking about it. Steve, why don't you join me?
I knew you were going to say that.
I don't know. What was it? 38 degrees in
No, it's 52. I checked it this morning. The water is 52.
She is so brave.
So we'll see. I've been looking and seeing the level of mud, but it looks pretty good today. So we'll see. But anyway, that's what I do. I do a lot of gardening, and I really find that it's just very soothing, and That's
lovely.
Yeah.
Good for the mind.
And all those microbes in the soil have been proven to alleviate depression and
Good
anxiety.
for the body, too, yeah.
Yeah, and
I didn't know that.
always tell myself afterwards I should have worn gloves, but I forget to wear gloves because I like to actually feel the dirt.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
Well, that's wonderful. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks,
care.
Corrine.
Thanks, Corrine.
Yeah, there it is, a spot of gardening.
I think Steve was asking the question, do you mean intentionally? And I'll say for myself, I am changing habits because I am such a news nut. So I'm having to intentionally go, I'm not going to do news before I leave the house. I'm not going, I'm not even going to check my trending headline list. I'm just going. And I'm not even going to check Facebook because my friends are posting so much political news. So those are,
That's an interesting
yeah, so I'm
day.
having to fight behaviors. And the other night, I guess it's been about 3 weeks ago, Andy and I usually watch a lot of news shows, but I usually have one recap news show and then another one that we watch around 5:30. And
Really?
and then we were, and Andy, and I said, do you want to watch the news? And he goes, no. So I said, okay. He said, hey, have you been taping The Bachelor? And I went, really? He goes, I just want the stupidest, most totally alien from all of these concerns that I can get. And I said, well, you do know, that the person in the White House is the reality show TV guy. He says, I don't care. So anyway, we've been watching The Bachelor.
Is it comforting to know that you're watching the same channel at the very same time?
That
as his honor, a man that gets his news from television, finds out the day.
Oh boy!
What about
how can we distract him?
Yeah, he is distracted. This is a guy who's never finished a book cover to cover.
Oh, we can't even have a report. Okay, listen.
But wait a second. What about the drug of choice?
The drug of choice, exactly. Yes. How about that? Is that's certainly a diversion, a distraction?
I think a classic one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would be curious to see what alcohol sales are. Unfortunately for me, because I currently have a stomach ulcer, I'm very limited, which is a blessing because I have to tell you, we would be just cranking through the wine right now. Because wine's the kind of thing you can drink for a long time, over
better
hours.
Better than whining through the crank.
Exactly. But yeah, it would be interesting to see what sales of alcohol.
How alcohol sales are doing. I'm guessing they're doing pretty well. Don't they always? I don't know. Especially the little breweries, those microbreweries that are popping in, the new little micro distilleries, artisanal vodka.
Everybody learning to make their own, some people.
Like some people.
That gin, it was incredible from Oakland.
Oh.
Oh, the St. George Terroir gin. Oh, I love that gin. St. George.
I learned that from you.
So there we are. We know what the drug of choice here is, but what about others?
Definitely not my drug of choice, by the way.
Oh, really? Okay.
Well, and if Jeff Sessions has his way, our other favorite drug of choice may be raided here in California.
Mm-hmm.
States' rights, though. I think those guys stand for state rights.
Except for
we should be able to decide for ourselves.
Right. I'm not so sure that's a hot topic anymore with them. Okay, so yes, drugs or things that change your brain so that you're perhaps less concerned about everything. There's high addiction rates now. Is that part of modern life that it's such a barrage of information all the time? How do you shut it out?
For most of the people that I know, that all of this is bothering them, myself included, ever since the election, there's this sense of anxiety, I can't really call it free-floating anxiety, but this sort of cloud of anxiety, a hard time focusing, feeling like for the first 2 weeks, like how when you come out of a shock in your life of something, sort of that trying to get grounded. For me, a big thing, first of all, was I felt completely like I was untethered quickly, and so I was not very grounded. So one of the things I do every day, even if it's cold, I go, and it's nice now because the yard's muddy, but go get your bare feet in dirt without shoes, just for 5 minutes, because the theory is, and I feel that way, it's sort of like all the electrical craziness in me just sort of like sucks into the earth.
Literally grounding yourself.
And I
never thought of that.
I actually used to, when I worked in the radio business in the city, I used to keep a box of sand under my desk that I would just put my feet in, just to like put my feet around and pretend I was at the beach or whatever. Although the janitor there thought I was hiding a cat and it was like a litter box, and he reported me. But yeah, so to me, that's too remembering, sort of like history is grounding me in sort of human context, and dirt and my feet in the dirt or the sand is sort of this. Nice. I'm on planet Earth. I'm really connected.
Time to turn it all off for a little while.
I'm trying that for sure.
Yeah, you're gonna walk out in the
mud. We have plenty, so it's
at your place. Yeah, no, it's amazing if you just stand there and just think about like everything that's sort of buzzy and non-essential, like just let that all go back into the earth, because the earth can use it like to send an earthquake to Washington or something. But I just like to think about all that.
I have to say that this show has been not really a distraction, because but having this program on and having to do a little research about different subjects every week, it's wonderful. Actually, it's a great exercise in. You're kind of focused on one thing for a couple of days at least, just gathering information. And, I like that. I have to say, I like doing this show.
Is attention deficit disorder, is that something that's was always there at the same rate that it is now, or is this something that we're finding at much higher levels?
They don't diagnose that in countries like France. They don't diagnose ADD in children. That's just some children need more stimulation and more guidance. It's only in America where we're drugging our kids because they're – but, I do feel like when you have times and things are very chaotic, that it is harder to focus, and that I don't know. I kind of agree with the French that that's a reaction to – how we're fitting into our lives or our system, or where we're going to school, or what's going on.
Or it's just childhood.
Yeah. Children are like,
give us a call, 1-2-415-663-8492. We still have a few minutes left. Let us know what you do to reset your brain. How's that?
That's good.
Is that better? Better than distracting?
If anybody wants to play Pokemon Go with me.
Oh, my God. You're still doing Pokemon Go.
Oh, I have to tell you, there are many illustrious, very brilliant people right here in town that I will not name that also play.
I see. Is that so? That's still going on?
Yes. We got new creatures just recently. Wow. I think they did that to help distract us. 80 new creatures. I'm so excited.
There's all these people driving around West Marin looking.
You're supposed to walk. You're not supposed to drive into it.
I don't think that's happening out here. But anyway,
I don't even know how it works.
No, I don't even have a smartphone.
We have two Poke gyms. One's at the Dance Palace. One's at the Waves Wall. And you can go battle in the gym, other creatures.
Oh, boy. Well, whatever works. As Stephen said earlier, as long as it makes you feel good, whatever works. So, what do I do? I think I spend too much time on screen. I do like to go walking with the dog when Sally's over, when my friend is over, with the puppy. That's always lovely.
I think for some people, work is a distraction.
Yeah,
yes, yeah. And that's one thing I know for Andy. Andy really enjoys his work, and certain phases and types of year, it's much more into, doing reports or doing some structuring and infrastructure pieces. And I think that's why, well, he's always calmer than I am, but, he likes his work. And he doesn't, I asked him, he said, oh, no, I don't worry. I come downstairs and then you're like, do you want to watch the news? And he's like, no. Let's watch The Bachelor and have a drink.
Do you want to get frantic? No. Work. But you go shopping, Stephen.
I go shopping.
This is your diversion.
They know me there in town center. Here comes Hurwitz again.
Free coffee as you walk in the door. Hey, come on in. Walking. I don't do as much physical as I used to when I used to sort of build things, big things. But I'm still working. I enjoy the work I do. Fixing things for people and that's always nice to get away from where my screens are.
Well, do you make things for yourself?
I mainly fix my car or think about fixing my car, which is still sitting on the lift in my garage. But
it counts for something.
You know what I've been missing?
I go out and consider it.
Fishing. I want to go fishing again. I haven't been fishing in a while because fishing just totally makes my mind go blank. I'm just focused on like conjuring the fish up, watching my fly, So I told Annie, we need to go fishing because fishing totally blanks my brain.
And immersed in a stream. What a wonderful thing.
Yes.
Well, so this has been Let's Talk, call-in radio. Here, why don't you read that, Stephen?
KWMR does not take a stand on any of the issues discussed on Let's Talk. Opinions expressed on this program are those of the hosts and callers and do not necessarily reflect the views of KWMR, its board of directors, underwriters, or members.
Oh, and next week we'll be discussing another scintillating topic. So we'll be asking questions of you, what you think about our scintillating topic, unless one of you can pop up with one right now. I've been thinking about the deep state, but that seems sort of depressing after today.
Well, we've got to get back to depressing stuff. That's how it works.
Or maybe we'll get back to climate change or something much more lighter than the deep state.
Yes, the destruction of the environment.
I just want to remind you that I haven't said the word Trump the whole...
Okay.
Thank you. Until now.
We have to buy Steve lunch.
Well done, Stephen. Thank you, everyone, for calling in.
Stephen.
This has been Let's Talk Call-In Radio. We'll be back next week. Thank you, everybody.